Greetings and welcome. I am Mengel and we are playing Cards, the World War II digital collectible card game. This is the second of my tutorial short two-part series. If you've missed the first one, you can have a look at the top right hand corner. There would be a link, and down in the video description to my playlist for this series. It was a Japanese aggro deck for people that might enjoy playing that playstyle more. However, in this following short two-part series, we will be playing with USA. So this deck is a competitive USA deck using the Naval Support mechanic. So please join me right after this short intro and let's get straight to it. Welcome to Cards. This is a wonderful community and this is a great game. So in this two-part short series, first up we will be discussing building of this USA competitive naval support deck. I will show you the cards we'll be crafting and picking for this said deck, and I will also shortly explain the intent and thinking behind each card. Great stuff. So once again, in this short how-to tutorial series, I will not be explaining the game mechanics and how to play this game in great detail. However, kindly in the top right hand corner, click on the following link. One of my fellow community contributors has already created some content that covers the basics. Be sure to check out his YouTube and give him a like if he deserves it, and potentially a subscribe. He will cover the basics. However, I will be covering your first USA competitive deck in this series. So jumping in to your cards library, we'll be crafting a new deck. So the first nation, the major nation, will be USA, and then the secondary nation will be Britain. We will be calling this deck, we're going to change the name. Let's call it USA Naval Support. There we go. Alright, so I like to pick show all so we can just see all. And then some good news, if you installed this game after the 15th of April 2020, that's basically when the game was in release, kindly in the bottom of this video description, below this video, I like to say at the bottom usually, in the video description is a link to my community Discord. Be sure to join my Discord and to go to the giveaway section. I am new to cards. If you type that in my personal community Discord, Gamer Mengel, I will give you a in-game code which you can use to redeem. Let me just get out of here. So you can go to the shop and you can put the code in here, and that will give you 40 resource to go towards crafting decks or you know, cards that you would like. If you want to use it towards this deck, you're more than welcome. If you want to use it on the other card, obviously you feel you can do that. So just a very quick one. So this deck only has standard and limited cards, so it's a very cheap deck. If you check, I'll put down in the video description as well the link to playcards.com. You will see the cost of this deck is very cheap, and this is an extremely competitive deck. It does very well in the current meta and in this game. So jumping back into Cards the game, so you will see that a special rarity costs 80, the standard rarity it's 8, and like you can see there, I can refund myself 8, so 8. The limited is 20, the special is 80, and then your elites it's 320. So that giveaway code is as simple as the first 40 that do what I've stated will basically each get a guaranteed giveaway code. It's first come first serve as long as it lasts. So once again, I'll just mention it again. The only thing you need to do is go down to the video description, go to my community Discord server, join my community server, and in the giveaways channel simply state I am new to cards, and then I will be in contact with yourself and I will give you one of those codes to help you along. So yes, so I mean 40 resource can potentially give you 5 standards, or it can give you 2 limiteds, which goes a long way to start off. So a little something from myself and the cards development, just to help you out and to welcome you to this game. I really hope you enjoy your stay with us. So that's enough of me talking and rambling about other stuff. Let's dive in and build this said deck. Alright, so first up, we want to get ourselves We Can Do It. Oops, typing in Afrikaans, my native language. We Can Do It. So this is a limited card. I'm adding three of them I'm adding two of them into this deck. And the reason behind that is I want to buff the units on the table, give your units +3 and the HQ as well, and then you get to draw a card. So it's a double whammy. You get to buff your units on the table, the units in play, and you get to increase your HQ, and also you get to draw cards. So that's the big reason why I like to add this card. It's a order card, 5 cost in-game, limited, not too expensive to craft, 20 resource to craft this card. Next up, Death from Above. So We Can Do It. That is not a big staple that you'll be playing in most of your decks, but however, it's still a good card. I personally like it, but Death from Above is like a staple. I would prioritize crafting this card if you do not own a copy of this one already. So we'll be adding 2 of those into this set deck. So yes, straightforward, 4 cost in-game credits, and it's basically an order card, Death from Above, destroy a random enemy unit. The randomness is not ideal, but if timing is good, you can destroy some heavy opponent cards from the enemy you're facing. Gunship Mission, early game, staple card. If you're going up against aggressive units, you get to deal 2 damage if the unit's in the enemy's line, the support line, and your HQ gains +2 defense. So this is a staple. I would craft 4 of them ASAP, as quickly as you can. This is a very good card in this game for USA, so another staple. We can actually just fall to USA because we're just going to work with USA for now. And then the mechanic behind this deck is to buff the howitzer, the artillery, 2 cost and 1 operation cost. It's a 1/3. Units attacked by this unit, they lose their guards. So this was asked in my first series, in my how-to series with the Agro-Japanese. The guys in the comments was like, yeah, what should we do if you go up against the Russians and they've got those 1/8 cost guards? This is one of the solutions in this deck, which will help a great deal. Obviously, Death from Above is also your removal mechanic for this set deck, but this is great, so you can basically let them lose their guards. Their guards. Guard. Okay, so we'll be adding 2 of that. Next up, First Marines. So yes, you basically want to have your defense line. You want artillery to do range attack to the enemy, and the idea is to control and to maintain the front line. So this is why we've got the First Marines, and for that reason I've got 3 copies, because I feel this is a very good card. It's a 3 cost, 1 operation, 3/4, so it's not too bad on the the attack and defensive stats. The Blitz is obviously a very nice mechanic. Unit can operate, move, attack the same turn they come into play. So if you play this unit in your support line in the turn, it doesn't have summoning sickness, it doesn't need to wait a turn until it can take action. You can let it move at that same turn to the front line, so you can kind of keep and secure the front line. If the enemy is in the front line and you are being under pressure, you can play it and let this unit attack the enemy in the front line the same turn it's played. So just the Blitz, if you do not know it. This video is intended for new players, so if you are not a new player, kindly excuse me just explaining everything in detail as much as possible. Okay, that being said, let's jump over to the next card, which will be the 17th Regiment. Another cheap card to craft and a cheap card to play. So we'll be adding 4 units of this card. Straightforward, it's a 2 cost, 1 operation, 2/2, give another friendly unit +1/+1. So you want to give your howitzer a +1/+1, your artillery. Straightforward. Okie dokie. Next up is the M8 Greyhound, and this unit fits my personal playstyle. It's also the Blitz, and you also get to secure the front line potentially by turn 2. So we want 4 of these units, and then what synergizes nicely with the Greyhound is when this unit's in the front line, units in your support line have +1 attack. So your artillery is getting +1 attack. So that's why you definitely want to have 4 copies of this card to early game secure the front line. 1. So when the enemy plays his units into the support line, you get to sap them with the gunship mission. And that's 2, 3, 3 being your artillery gets the +1 and you get to shoot with the artillery into the enemy's support line. So that's another reason. Okay, this video is 11 minutes. I'm going to pick up the tempo because I don't want it to be much longer than 15 minutes. So that is the Greyhound. Next up we've got the M7 Priest. We'll be adding 3 copies, so this is towards early mid game. Gains +2, +1 if you control the front line. Once again, Greyhound, this unit needs to be in the front line. This unit gets to deploy. The deploy keyword happens, which makes this unit even stronger. Mid to late game, you get to play We Can Do It, which makes all the units on the table even stronger with the +3 defense. Alrighty, so next up, the T19. Why? I made a mistake. This is the T19. We want 4 copies of this one because it's cheap to craft. The one I skipped over, I believe, was the M8. Let's double check. This one here. Yes, this one is only 2 copies. So this is also a card that came out with the expansion, Allegiance, end of last year. So this card is towards mid-game, but the deployment effect, distribute 3 damage between all enemies, is kind of nice, and that's why I added 2 copies of this card. So 28 out of 40. So we've got our USA cards all picked. Let's jump over into the Britain side of things. So the first British card is the Coastal Gun, and this is not essential. If you do not wish to craft this card, you can do something else. We can maybe just briefly mention another card you might want to consider, but for me, thematically, this is a fun card to try and pull off. This is towards late game, so each time the Coastal Gun attacks, your HQ gets +3 defense. So it's a fun mechanic for me personally. I've got personal preference for that card. Keeping with the theme, we want 2 copies of 26 Engineer Regiment. Give all friendly units +2 defense. Once again, you want to buff up the defensive values of your units. It ties in with the mechanic. I added Convoy for some card draw, just 1 copy. I usually prefer in my personal decks to have a card draw mechanic. I need to have card draw. I need to have disable or cards that kind of, you know, neutralize the enemies. I've got a little formula I usually run, and then obviously also look at the mana curve, if you will, the credit cost curve, to try and determine what sort of deck you are building. So Welsh Guards, it's a very good value card as well. It's a 2 credit cost, 1 operation. It's also standard, very cheap to craft with your resource. Give any target +1 defense. So straightforward, we want 3 of them. Next card is the Coldstream, and the reason why I went with them is they are good value. It's a 3 cost, 1 operation, but you get to add the Naval Support, and this is where the Naval Support comes in. So 2 of them. We'll talk about the Naval Support briefly. So when you play this guard unit, the guards is very important. That's why British is the ally nation. They defend your artillery, so you definitely want to secure kind of a mid-game match towards late with the guards to protect your artillery. That's why this unit's in here. And once again, with the Allegiance set when it came out, this is awesome value. You can see the icon there for Allegiance because you get to add the Naval Support when you play this unit. I love cards that gives you double value. They usually are a bit more expensive in game with a credit cost, but I'm okay with that. And then the last unit, last card, is the Naval Support, and we'll be adding 3 units of this, 3 cards. Sorry, this is not a unit, it's a card, an order card. So we'll be adding 3 cards, order cards of Naval Support, and the Coldstream will give you an additional 2 when played. So that's potentially 5, 3, 4, 5 Naval Support cards you can have in game. So Naval Support, if you do not know this card, straightforward. Change the attack on the target unit to be equal to its defense. So now I'm guessing a light bulb went off, and you know why I'm buffing my defensive values of all these other cards. I want to get my defensive value as high as possible, and then you play naval support. So if you can put this oak on maybe like a 6 or an 8 defense, and you play naval support, he immediately starts hitting for 8. Even better, if you can buff up your artillery, ideally the cheap T19 HOWITZER, up to a 1-6. And you play naval support, this unit's going to start hitting for 6. They're all cheap. You want to put as much of them onto the table as possible, maybe 1 or 2 guards, the rest artillery, pushing your other units to the front line, like this infantry needs to go to the front line, and the marines. That is the deck, and that is the thinking behind this. Once again, down in the video description is a link to playcards.com where you can see this card list. Down in my video description as well is also just a card list in text form. Be sure to hit those up and have a look at it. And stay tuned for the next episode where we will jump in and play this deck. I explained too much in this deck. I do apologize. It's about 16 minutes. But in the next episode, in the second part of this 2-part series, we'll jump in, play a matchup, and everything will make even more sense when I play this game and explain it to you once again while playing a matchup with this deck, and you will see it work and function. I thank you for joining me for this short tutorial on how to build your first competitive USA deck. Please join me for the next episode where we will be jumping in and doing a matchup with this said deck. Until then, friends, you keep safe, and as always, lekker dag and bye bye.